Hi, welcome back. In this video, we're going to be looking at a Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers, and we're going to be looking at chapter 2 specifically. So with that, let's go ahead and let's hop into a passage from this chapter to kind of get the ball rolling. The forest changed. Down in the villages, the towering trees had an accessible feel, allowing plenty of room for sunlight to reach the flowering bushes below. This old road, on the other hand, headed into the Keskin forest, a place left to pursue its own instincts uninterrupted. Here, the trees were taller than any building you'd find outside the city, their branches locked like pious fingers against the distant sky. Only the slightest threads of sun broke through, illuminating waxy needles in an eerie glow. Moss hung down like tapestries, fungus crept in alien curves, birds called but could not be seen. The road itself was a relic, paved in black asphalt, an oil road made for oil motors and oil tires and oil fabric and oil frames. So, Chapter 2 of A Psalm for the Wild Built skips forward 2 years in time from Chapter 1. Sibling Dex is now an experienced T-Monk. Although they've not found their crickets, they have found a comfortable and largely rewarding circuit traveling from village to village. They have a number of regular customers and are experienced in making custom blends, so much so, in fact, that some patrons refer to them as the best T-Monk in all of Panga. In this chapter, we are also provided more information on the state of the natural world on Panga. One notable stop of Dex's is in a forested city where people live above the forest floor so as to not harm the ecosystem. We're also provided with more detail on the transition, which is a moment in history when humans transition towards the solarpunk future they're in an attempt to fix ecological catastrophe. In the second half of the chapter, Dex reveals that while they're still not content, they have not achieved the feeling they set out to find. While listening to the recording of crickets, they discover a wilderness zone where a species of cricket may still live. Traveling in the zone may be dangerous due to wildlife and the pre-transition roads being damaged and having various cracks and stuff. All the same, Dex cannot put the thought out of their head, and as such, cancels their T-Monk route and travels in that direction. After having difficulty with the harsh conditions, Dex settles on top of a hill, camps, and begins to feel at ease. It is at that moment when Mosscap, the robot, our kind of second main character, appears. The author makes an interesting choice in setting this pseudo-utopia after ecological collapse. By doing so, the tale makes a conscious effort to critique contemporary ideas of restoring or completely undoing ecological damage purely through technology and funding. For all the effort done in the transition, some species such as crickets were still brought to extinction and have not recovered. The story further emphasizes this in the descriptions of the forest floor humus in the opening of Chapter 2. These layers of rot and life require decades upon decades to form. Topsoil is not something that can be easily replaced, even by advanced farming and agricultural techniques. On this topic, it may be helpful to contemplate a quote from Wendell Berry. "The most exemplary nature is that of the topsoil. It increases by experience, by the passage of seasons over it, growth rising out of it and returning to it. Not by ambition or aggressiveness. It's enriched by all things that die and enter into it. It keeps the past, not as history or as memory, but as richness, new possibility." Leading us to our big question for this chapter. One of the big questions of the story is, how is wilderness portrayed in the story? Is it defined in spiritual terms, ecological terms, property, geography, or in some other capacity? How does this definition change depending on the context? As always, cite the text and any other sources to support your answer. With that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.